What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 5. So I do want to say, first things first, happy holidays to all of you guys. I know a lot of you guys mainly tune into my channel for the spoilers and for the reviews, and if you guys have done that, whether you're new or old to the channel, thank you for the support. I did want to mention that first, but let's talk about the chapter. Overall a pretty good, solid chapter yet again. At the end of the video, maybe I'll compare it to some of the other ones and say kind of how I think it stacks up. But an eventful chapter for sure, and definitely one we need to talk about. We have this chapter started off with a Sasuke cover. I thought it looked pretty cool. Wasn't anything, like insane, but I thought it was a pretty cool little solo cover. And the title of this chapter was Target. So the chapter actually starts out with a flashback. And this is a flashback to when Sasuke is actually training Boruto during this time skip span that we cut through. And one of the funniest things I found personally was that Boruto's hair actually looked like Sasuke here. So he was literally copying Sasuke, word for word, bar for bar over here. Was literally looking like him. Even had a sword, similar to Sasuke's and everything. And yeah, he was looking pretty much like his master. So Boruto actually asks him how his Uchiha style is now. And Sasuke pretty much tells him that he's pretty much taught Boruto almost all the moves and methods he knows within the last year. So to go from the present timeline, this is 2 years ago. And as we've known from previous chapters, a year after, they had left the village is when something happened to Sasuke. So Sasuke pretty much tells Boruto that now it's up to Boruto to make the most of his teachings. And he also mentions that Boruto is a lot like Naruto. And it's interesting that he says that because, he doesn't really have his memories here or anything like that. He's just saying that based off what he's observed. And he also goes on to say that Boruto has eyes of determination like Naruto had. And he also says that it doesn't matter to him anymore who Boruto is, because he says he has a gut feeling that something is going on that only both him and Sarada can deal with. So pretty much this is like a passing of a torch kind of moment too, it feels like to me, where Sasuke is pretty much saying that whatever's happening, he feels like Boruto and Sarada can take care of this, but for some weird gut feeling, he doesn't feel like, I guess he's implying he can't, at least not as well as they would be able to, which he's right, because they have their original memories. We then flash forward in this flashback, and now we have the reveal that Sasuke is the one who actually took Code's eye. Sasuke is also telling Boruto at this moment to run. Sasuke pretty much says that at the moment there's no way that they can win against Code in that present time, and tells Boruto to escape and build on the skills that he taught him throughout the past year. He says then that no one will be able to stop him if he ends up, mastering everything he's learned recently. So this, makes sense, of course, why Boruto is so strong. I still do want to see more training personally that Boruto did throughout this time, more in depth, but I feel like they're going to leave that for perhaps another flashback. I think we might get, a few more throughout the story depending on when it's needed, or they're just going to leave it up to the anime to expand on whenever that comes back. So he also tells Boruto, kind of like his parting words are to watch over Sarada, pretty much on his behalf. We then get a pretty cool looking panel of Sasuke charging in at Code and these divine tree creatures with a lightning style around his sword. Classic looking Sasuke charging in, and pretty cool looking panel. I do want to say the art looked really solid in this chapter, by the way, especially if you compare it to what we've gotten in Boruto in the past. So much improvement, everything I get it, guys, that some of you guys really want it to look as good as Naruto did in the manga, and unfortunately, we aren't gonna get that, or at least won't be getting that consistently with uh, Ikimoto's art style. For certain aspects, but I can at least say that I feel like he's been improving, and I do think that overall, especially since we started Two Blue Vortex, things have been looking pretty solid on the art end. We then flash forward again, and this is to a scene where Boruto's checking out what happened to Sasuke, and now Sasuke's in a tree and all that, and there's a bunch of defeated Divine Tree creatures on the ground next to him. So that tells us that Sasuke put up a pretty good fight here, at least, although he was taken down, but he put up a pretty good fight. One thing I am wondering is why Code didn't kill him. Maybe he couldn't after Sasuke was put into the tree like that, because I don't know. I mean, Bug is in that kind of form too, but then again, what reason does Code have to kill Bug, really? So it's interesting that he didn't kill Sasuke. Maybe we'll get a little explanation on that, or maybe he didn't care to do it. I don't know. Maybe they'll throw in a line about that at some point, but that's just something I was wondering. Boruto then takes his sword and tells him that he's got this. We then cut to the present now, where we have another development. Konohamaru is showing up to a scene where Team 10 is, and Moegi is apparently captured in a tree, in one of these divine trees. So pretty much what happens after that is Konohamaru is talking to Team 10. He's upset, he's angry. They're of course upset and angry too. He swears to Team 10 that they'll find a way to get her back and end up saving her. And pretty much, it seems like not only is he motivated, but Team 10 is motivated as well. So that might honestly be their big, time skip matchup for things to come. And personally, I'm really excited about it. If you guys have followed my channel for a while, I've been saying it's about damn time that they get Konohamaru involved in this story and actually give him a proper power-up. And I mainly say this because this is a future Hokage candidate, and, we need to have him written as such. So hopefully this is his time, and hopefully he gets to shine here along with this team. We then cut over to these Divine Tree creatures who are actually talking with each other, and the Moegi lookalike creature says that she can sense that Ino Shikacho and Konohamaru are sad and angry. So the Jigen lookalike one says her name, which is Matsuri. So now I'm sure, just to make things easier, we're going to get these guys' names. So the Moegi looking creature is Matsuri. So the Jigen lookalike says that they share the same goals as a divine tree, but also have an independent consciousness. The Jigen lookalike says that he's calling it now, and he's thinking of devouring Naruto. So they're each going to have a target of their own, and, pretty much they're going to call it. And this is very interesting, because you may wonder, why Naruto? And honestly, I'm wondering the same, because Naruto's not an Otsutsuki, and Naruto's currently sealed away. But this is going to set up a big confrontation for sure between this character and Kawaki. And that is going to be a big fight, I feel like, down the line. And honestly, it'll probably be an exciting one. But maybe we'll get to even see Naruto fight him at some point. If Naruto gets out of the whole, sealed situation. But I do think that it's interesting that Naruto's the target. It makes you wonder what kind of connection he has to Naruto. So maybe when it's revealed a little more, exactly who it is, because a lot of us are just guessing it's Jigen or Ishiki, but it could be someone else. I had someone actually comment, I think the other day, that it could be Gaara, and they went with that idea based off of the alternate name that's given to them, I believe, and I'll go over that in a second, but there was some meaning behind it, and I don't know, I think that would be pretty interesting too, because Gaara could make sense for going for Naruto, right? But I guess we will see. So Ida is listening into this whole conversation, and he's pretty much talking still, the Jigen lookalike, and he's talking to Matsuri and the bug lookalike creature too, and pretty much saying that they're evolving differently than normal and have some changes to their instinctual drive pretty much. He says that giving into their personal instincts will give them all a target, so pretty much he tells them all to pick a target. Matsuri is the first one to pick one, and she quickly says that her target is Konohamaru. Then we have the Sasuke lookalike who calls the Jigen lookalike Jorah, so we have his name now. So we have Matsuri and Jorah, and he asks him pretty much, what are we? And Jorah responds to this by saying, it ultimately doesn't really matter, and that at the end of the day, the target will lead them to their identity. And he also gives the Sasuke lookalike's name, which is Hidari. So, pretty much, as this is going on, Ida is sipping, a drink and watching this. The bug lookalike actually looks in the direction that she's sitting and smirks. He ends up coming up to where she is and says, "You're watching, aren't you? My target is you." And this was a crazy moment in the chapter because he just went right up in her face and said that. So it makes me wonder, does he actually know where she was sitting to? Because that's kind of what it seems like. But him also saying, "You're watching, aren't you?" makes me think that he couldn't maybe directly see her, but maybe he sensed her. Something like that. But Ida is the target. She gets out of there sweating. Hidari ends up saying that his target is Sarada. So something that was interesting was that we didn't get the bug lookalike's name, but we got the other three. We got Jorah, Hidari, and Matsuri. So we have 3 names that were revealed. I guess the bug lookalike will get his own name sometime down the line, or maybe even the next chapter for all we know, but probably down the line. And then after that, we cut over away from them, and we actually cut over to a scene of Sumire talking to Amado. And honestly, I do want to mention, I really like how these chapters have been paced. The first 4 chapters were paced really well overall, in my opinion. And this one is just adding to that. We're getting so much development in the story. And we're just seeing a bunch of different characters at this point. Which is what I really want to see. I want to see other characters talking and involved in the story. And, I was cool with some of the previous chapters where it was primarily Boruto because, he's the main character and he's got to get things moving. So that was cool, but I like that this one's a little bit more of a change of pace and that we're seeing some of the other characters and stuff developing. So Sumire is pretty much talking to Amado about Boruto and how he needs him to bring his daughter back. And she's only saying this to test if he remembers him as Kawaki, because with the history alteration thing, Boruto's karma should mean a lot to Amado. And Amado is really smart, as we all know, and was usually up to some stuff. So it's really interesting what Amado says next. So he pretty much says that he's come to a conclusion that Kawaki has a karma that was modified by him. And he's come to realize that the karma with his daughter's data is actually on Kawaki's palm, not Boruto's. So from this being, physical evidence, he ends up concluding that part of his memory at least has to have been altered. So there we have it. Another character has figured it out. And he does end up saying afterwards, though, that he says his priority is the karma containing Akebi's data. So Boruto isn't, really one of his big concerns. Meanwhile, Sai is actually watching and monitoring this whole conversation with Amado. And right after, he asks Shikamaru about what he thinks about what they're saying. And Shikamaru is pretty much speechless, kind of like he's just looking out the window and thinking. So this is pretty interesting stuff because this could, perhaps lead to them trusting Boruto somehow despite not having, the memory back. So, maybe there's going to be some loopholes with this whole time change. Well, not time change, this whole history alteration thing. This omnipotence technique, maybe they're going to find a weakness or some possible breakthroughs so that Boruto's situation at least gets a bit better. We then approach the end of the chapter where Sumire is now discussing this conversation she had with Sarada, and she's pretty much saying that physical evidence has led Amado to this conclusion about the memories being altered. Sarada then responds by questioning why people didn't end up doubting a family photo with Boruto on it with Naruto then. And Sumire says it's probably because most people will end up believing their memory over physical evidence. So Amado is like an outlier because Amado is really smart. So these other people will believe their memory because they all have the same, common memories. And since they can probably talk to each other and be like, yeah, no, I remember Kawaki being a son, they're not going to believe the picture. Sarada ends up saying something about Sasuke, but then as she's saying that, Boruto appears and finishes the sentence. Boruto pretty much says he risked his life to save him for her sake. So, pretty much Boruto, popped in at the perfect little time right there and talked about how grateful I guess he is to Sasuke for risking his life, which also ends up, being for Sarada's sake. Sarada responds to this by coming in, running in, and hugging Boruto, and his expression for one of the first times into Blue Vortex changes from being serious to, a little sad. Like, he had this kind of look where he saw, or when he saw Himawari. So this is kind of reminding me a little bit of that. And it's perhaps because knowing, what she's been through all these years, along with, same thing for the Himawari time. And because he knows that, especially in this case, that Sarada has the right memory. So the chapter ends by saying, she says that you're late, stupid Boruto, and he responds by saying, sorry, I'm home now. And that's how the chapter ends. So this leads us into an interesting question for the next chapter. How will Kawaki respond to this, and how will Shikamaru respond to this? Will Shikamaru let Boruto stay by, or will Shikamaru, try having people go capture him? And we know for a fact Kawaki isn't just going to sit idly by here. So, and Kawaki already said too that he can sense Boruto's presence whenever he enters. So this, might get heated next chapter, but maybe Shikamaru is going to smarten up, with this physical evidence data and give Boruto a chance. But all in all, this chapter was another really good to great chapter. My favorite part of this chapter was honestly how well it was paced. I really enjoyed that. I got to see some nice developments in the story on a few different ends. I'm happy that we got to see a flashback to Boruto and Sasuke, although I do wish it was longer, but I understand this is a monthly manga. There's going to be restrictions to this stuff, sadly. But that's where I'm really hoping the anime comes in and shines later down the line. And I'm really hoping that the anime is back in hopefully the coming year or two, but I guess we'll see on that. But I also did enjoy that Konohamaru and Team 10 are going to be directly involved in the story more. Would love to see that. I did like the conversation that all of them had, and then all the creatures had, and all the names that were dropped. And then the whole Sumire and Amado thing was cool because we have been wondering, or at least a good chunk of us have been wondering what's been up with Amado and where he's at and what he's up to. So this gives us that answer. And then I feel like we ended the chapter on a strong note with a Boruto Sarada reunion and Sumire as well. So it'll be interesting to see how next chapter kicks off. I'm sure they're going to talk a little bit more, but eventually might have Kawaki pull up and perhaps Mitsuki as well. And the Mitsuki Boruto meeting will be an interesting one too, for sure. We haven't seen Mitsuki since I think chapter 1, so I feel like they're saving him up for something. But all in all, I think I'm going to give this chapter a 9.5 to a 10. Amazing chapter overall. Maybe 10's pushing it, but I've really just been enjoying the flow of these Boruto chapters. There hasn't really been a single weak one. I feel like this chapter isn't as good as the last month's, but that's my favorite chapter of Two Blue Vortex so far. but I do feel like this one is really, really good. It's up there. Probably the second or third best Two Blue Vortex chapter we have had so far. So that's my thoughts overall. Definitely would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below as well, of course. But that'll wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.